Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You are listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on earth. As always, I'm your host, the Game Master, and today we're going to be talking about the Marvel family, Über, Frau, and Baron Albrecht Krieger. But before we get into that, smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, ring the bell for notifications, and as always, be sure to leave us a comment, as that really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. With all that said, let's dive into the adventure. The prologue to today's story takes place in 1942, and it is basically a recap of the previous game. Superman Red and Wonder Woman entered German territory, where they fought Brunhilde, Donner, Frau, and Loga, and they lost. That adventure, by the way, was loosely based on Invaders #1 from 1975. Anyway, so Superman Red was captured and taken before Uberfrau, who is a clone of Kara Zor-El created by Black Kryptonite. She keeps him as a pet, and the Germans confiscate his ex-kryptonite, and they want to use that to create an army of supermen. The ex-kryptonite wears off, by the way, and Superman Red is now helpless and in need of saving. Which brings us to the main plot of today's game session. The Marvel family flies to where Superman Red is being held, and Mary Marvel comes face to face with Uberfrau. Uberfrau is faster than Mary is. Uberfrau has 24 APs of super speed, so she throws the first punch. But Uberfrau has a lost vulnerability to magic with a range of 0. So that literally means that if Kara comes within 0 APs, which in DC Heroes is 10 feet or less, if she comes within 10 feet of magic, all of her attributes become 4 APs. So that means as soon as her fist is within 10 feet of Mary Marvel, her strength and body are both 4. So Uberfrau does no damage to Mary Marvel's body of 28. On Mary's turn, she throws a punch. So it's Mary's dexterity of 28 versus Uberfrau's new dexterity of 4. So Mary Marvel needs to roll a 3 or better on 2d10, and she does. Then it's Mary's strength of 40 versus Uberfrau's new body of 4, which would normally do 34 points of damage, killing Uberfrau in a single blow. But Mary Marvel is pure and innocent and would never dream of taking a life. So she declares knockout damage only. Uberfrau is defeated, and Superman Red is rescued. Meanwhile, Captain Marvel, aka Billy Batson, and Captain Marvel Jr., aka Freddie Freeman, are searching for the missing sample of ex-kryptonite. They run into Baron Krieger, who is basically the Germans' answer to Captain Marvel, and he has the ex-kryptonite. So Captain Marvel punches Krieger. He needs a 7 or better to hit. Billy Batson rolls double 9s, which in DC Heroes is a critical success. So we keep that total, which is, of course, 18, and then we roll again. On his second roll, Billy gets an 8 and a 2, which is obviously 10. Then we add that 18 from the first roll to the 10. So our new total is 28. So looking at the table, we count how many column shifts that is, and we see that it is 6 column shifts. Then we go to the second table on our GM screen. There's only 2 of them. And we see that normally Billy would have done 12 points of damage to Krieger. But then we count to the left 6 column shifts, right? And we see that because of the critical success that he got, Billy Batson / Captain Marvel actually did 25 points of damage. So Krieger only has 5 hit points left. Then it's the turn of Captain Marvel Jr. Freddy rolls a 2 and a 3. That means Krieger's natural dexterity moves him out of harm's way. It's kind of like dodge, but it happens naturally. On Krieger's turn, he knows that the X-Kryptonite could be the key to winning the war and conquering Earth. So he flies away with it, trying to get it to safety. Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. fly after him, but they all move at the exact same speed. So at first, the Marvels can't catch up to the villain. In the DC Heroes RPG, sometimes a hero needs to fly faster than he is normally able to do. In these situations, the hero must then, quote unquote, push his ability, straining his capabilities to their limit. A character can only push when he is attempting to perform an automatic action that is based on a power or an attribute. Since the character is essentially fighting against his own limits, it would be that power versus itself. So in every single case of this, for a character to succeed, that means he needs to roll an 11 or better on 2 10-sided dice. Whether he succeeds or not, though, he has to pay a fee up front. So it costs 3 hero points, which for those unfamiliar with DC Heroes, that would be like experience points in other systems. So he has to pay 3 of those for each AP you want to increase your power by. And whether you succeed or not, those points are gone forever. So it's a risk. Captain Marvel takes that risk. He spends 3 hero points to increase his flight speed from 14 to 15. Then he rolls the dice. He needs an 11 or better to catch Krieger. He rolls a 3 and a 9 for a total of 12. So he literally just made it by 1. Close call. Captain Marvel grits his teeth as he streaks forward faster, and he catches up to Krieger finally. With his remaining action, he tries to punch Krieger. In order to do this, he needs to roll a 7 or better. He rolls a 7 and a 4, so he succeeds. Krieger takes 12 points of damage, and he only had 5 hit points left. Like his twin sister, by the way, Mary Marvel, Captain Marvel is pure of heart and would never kill anyone under any circumstances. So Krieger hits the ground at a speed of 14 APs, though. So that's 14 versus Krieger's resistance value of 30. That means his naturally tough flesh keeps this impact from further hurting him any. Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. have the X-Kryptonite now. They head to the rendezvous point where they meet up with Mary Marvel and Superman Red, the latter of which is very happy to have his X-Kryptonite back. Captain Marvel says you don't need the wisdom of Solomon to know you'd better hang on to that stuff and not let it fall into the wrong hands again. So Superman Red asks the battlefield medic to cut him open and insert the X-Kryptonite into the incision. At first, the medic is hesitant, but when the superheroes explain how the Germans were going to create an army of supermen, the medic reluctantly agrees to do it. Once the X-Kryptonite is in place, kind of like a piece of shrapnel in a way, Superman Red flies into space where he soaks up as much yellow sun radiation as he can. So his incision seals up as he regenerates damage. The various cuts and bruises that Uberfrau gave him seal up too. The Marvel family is happy that the mission went well, and Captain Marvel Jr. says he's glad that the Germans can't create an army of Supermen now. Which brings us to the epilogue of this game session. Somewhere behind enemy lines, Uberfrau is on an examination table. A man named Mengele enters and extracts her DNA. He then gets to work creating clones, not only with Kara's blonde hair and blue eyes, but with all of her Kryptonian powers as well. And he succeeds. The first of his new Supermen is a villain that we named Ubermensch. And he's a huge problem. And he appeared in countless adventures that we ran throughout World War II. But that's a story for another day. We enjoyed playing this adventure with the Marvel family. We hope that you enjoyed hearing about it. If so, as always, we'd love it if you took a moment to hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed because YouTube loves to unsubscribe people. Ring the bell for notifications so you know when we add more content to our channel. And as always, please leave us a comment, as that really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. We hope that you guys have a great week, and we'll see you in the next video.